Another shooting incident was recorded in the U.S. 3 people, including the suspected shooter, are dead following an attack at a grocery store in Bend, Oregon. More details on this later in the news. Good evening. I'm CJ Hero. This is Mata ng Agila International. And now for the headlines. 32 killed, 160 injured in Libya as clashes erupts between warring groups. Philippines advises Filipinos in Tripoli to be cautious. Death toll in Pakistan flooding reached more than 1,000. No reported Filipinos affected by the worst monsoon deluge. Another big-time oil price hike will take effect tomorrow. More than 6 pesos will be added to the price per liter of diesel and kerosene. The weekly average of new COVID cases in the country has gone down by 15%. And President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. urges fellow citizens to always value the courage that Filipino heroes showed and the sacrifices they made for the sake of the country. Violence in the capital of Libya has left more than a dozen people dead. At least 32 people have been killed and nearly 160 have been wounded after rival Libyan groups exchanged gunfire in Tripoli. Small arms fire and explosions rocked several districts as the weekend began, and 6 hospitals were damaged. Ambulances were unable to reach areas affected by the clashes. Dozens of cars were burned and buildings were riddled with bullets. The gunplay was between 2 rival groups vying for control of the North African country and its vast oil resources. One group is based in Tripoli and the other is in the country's eastern region. They blame each other for the violence. The Department of Foreign Affairs has cautioned Filipinos in Libya following the conflict in Tripoli. Moira Encina has the story.
The Philippine Embassy in Tripoli is closely monitoring situations in Tripoli and the area surrounding it following the civil unrest in the city. Assistant Secretary Maria Teresita Daza, spokesperson of the Department of Foreign Affairs, said the embassy has informed the DFA about the situation in Tripoli. Fortunately, the DFA said they have not received reports of any Filipinos hurt nor injured in the clashes. The DFA is also urging Filipinos to take shelter at home or in other safe places while the fighting is ongoing. DASA also advised Filipinos to contact the embassy through its hotline numbers for immediate assistance. There are about 2,164 Filipinos in Libya, made up of professionals, mostly nurses and other hospital workers, as well as university instructors and skilled workers in the oil and gas sector. Moira Encina, reporting for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Tens of millions of people across swathes of Pakistan were Monday battling the worst monsoon floods in a decade, with countless homes washed away, vital farmland destroyed, and the country's main river threatening to burst its banks. Officials say 1,061 people have died since June when the seasonal rains began, but the final toll could be higher as hundreds of villages in the mountainous north have been cut off after flood-swollen rivers washed away roads and bridges. National Disaster Management Authority said this year's flooding has affected more than 33 million people, 1 in 7 Pakistanis. According to Climate Minister Sherry Rahman, what they see now is an ocean of water submerging entire districts, which is very far from a normal monsoon and described as climate dystopia at their doorstep.
دا چې د برنه سیلاب چې مکمل لاغه برنه اطلاع رااله چې سیندونه او کوټ غاړي چې دا خالی کوي نو دا کسان ټول وتل نو هغه طرف چې دا سیند چې څونه سیوا کېدو نو د کسانو خپل سامانونه او دا فصلونه د په ځای هر څه پاتې شو خو چې رالو نو دا هر څه د هغه بر سر نه چې راواغېستل شو په کته هر څه ویوړل نو دا ځمکې د هغه هر څه چې دا هر څه تباه شو برباد شو خلکو.
This year's floods are comparable to 2010, the worst on record, when more than 2,000 people died and nearly a fifth of the country was underwater. The Pakistani army has been called in to help evacuate flood victims stranded in the northern part of the country. Although people had been told to leave danger zones, some stayed behind. Now, military helicopters are plucking laggards to safety. The death toll from this year's monsoons has topped 1,000. The damage is extensive. Officials say the flooding has affected more than 33 million people, or 1 in 7 Pakistanis. More than 1 million homes have been damaged or badly destroyed, where the entire villages were almost wiped out. Officials blame climate change, saying that Pakistan is unfairly bearing the consequences of irresponsible environmental practices elsewhere in the world. Meanwhile, the Department of Foreign Affairs said that no Filipinos have been reported to be affected by the monsoon flooding in Pakistan. DFA Undersecretary for Migrant Workers Affairs Eduardo Jose de Vega cited the report of the embassy in Islamabad, saying the Filipino community in the province of Sindh, which is one of those affected by the flooding, is safe, although the report from the largest province of Balochistan is still awaited. There are an estimated 3,000 Filipinos in Pakistan, and most of them are based in Islamabad and Karachi. The DFA said that the Philippine embassy is still waiting for a response from the Filipino community leader in Balochistan on their situation. According to the DFA, there are around 3,000 Filipinos in Pakistan, 90% of whom are household service workers, and the rest are professionals and staff members of international organizations. In other top news, oil companies will implement a new big-time oil price hike on Tuesday, August 30, 2022. In its advisory, Pilipinas Shell and Sea Oil announced a 6.10 per liter increase on diesel and kerosene and 1 peso and 40 centavos per liter on gasoline starting 6 a.m. Tuesday. Meanwhile, Clean Fuel will implement the same price adjustment starting at 8:01 a.m., except for kerosene, which it does not carry. Oil price hikes have been implemented for 2 consecutive weeks, starting last week, following a series of price decreases over about 7 weeks. According to the Department of Energy, the year-to-date adjustments for petroleum products stood at a net increase of 18.15 pesos per liter for gasoline, 31 pesos and 70 centavos per liter for diesel, and 27 pesos and 10 centavos per liter for kerosene as of August 23 of this year. Among the factors that caused the price increase was the movement of oil prices in the world market, given the increase in demand, particularly in the United States and Europe, amid the looming supply shortage brought about by the Russian invasion of Ukraine. National government agencies will help one another to improve the local industry of salt in the country. This is due to a report that there is also a shortage in the supply of salt in the country. As of DA's record, 93% are counted as imported salt in the country, despite the surrounding seas in the Philippines. The research and development activities for the technical assistance of the marginal and artisanal salt makers will be led by the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR. Counted on the seen factors that caused the fall in the production of salt is the low quality and slow progress in the local salt industry, aside from other causes. The DA is also looking at the expansion of production areas, development of technology, including the evaporation system, and the usage of different types of machinery for the fast and increasing production of salt. In other news, Commission on Higher Education announced that it now allows unvaccinated college students to attend face-to-face classes. Other than students, unvaccinated personnel and faculty on higher education institutions are allowed in face-to-face classes. CHED Chairperson Prospero de Vera clarified that unvaccinated people must still follow health protocols regulated by the government. De Vera said the decision was based on a thorough consultation of CHED on the Department of Health and the experts. The weekly average of new COVID cases in the country has gone down by 15%. Independent monitoring group Octa Research said that yesterday. Octa Research fellow Guido David posted on Twitter that the number of new COVID-19 cases in the Philippines decreased to 2,959 or less than 3,000 per day as of August 27, a decrease of 15% from the previous week's average of 3,487. David said the 7-day average was at its highest with 4,071 2 weeks ago, while the current average daily attack rate, or the average number of new cases during a certain period per 100,000 people, is 2.69, considered low. Now, the reproduction number decreased to 0.91 as of August 24 from 0.96 on August 17. The positivity rate also decreased from 16.2% to 14.3% as of August 26. David said if current trends in the growth rate hold, this projects to less than 1,000 cases per day nationwide by mid-September and less than 500 per day by the end of September. The Department of Health said COVID-19 cases in the country, including those in the National Capital Region, are on a decline. This daily decline is being sustained in the national level and in NCR. Only Mindanao is still seeing increasing numbers, while the Visayas is on a plateau. The rest of the country shows a downward trend. The DOH yesterday recorded 2,318 new COVID infections, bringing the nationwide tally to 3,874,641. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. led the National Heroes Day celebration at the Libingan ng mga bayani in Taguig City. The president urged the Filipinos to always value the courage that our heroes showed and the sacrifices they made for the sake of the country. Eden Santos has the details.
Ang kagalang-galang Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas at pangkalahatang puno sandatahang lakas ng Pilipinas.
Baba!
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. led the National Heroes Day celebration held at the Libingan ng mga bayani in Taguig City. The president said that Filipinos should always remember and celebrate the heroism and sacrifices of our heroes who gave their lives for our sovereignty.
Isang malaking karangalan ang makapiling kayong lahat sa pagdiriwang ng araw ng mga bayani. Panatag natin na itataguyod ang ating sarili at ang ating bansa ngayon dahil sa mga dakilang bayang na ating bayan. Kaya sa pagtitipong ito, buong lugod natin kinikilala ang ipinamalas nilang tapang, malasakit at pag-ibig sa ating tinubuang lupa. Ginugunita din natin ang taimtim, ang pawis, dugo at buhay na kanilang inalay para sa ating kapakanan, kalayaan at kinabukasan. Dahil sa kanilang sakripisyo, gumaan ang mga suliranin pinapasanan natin sa buhay at sa lipunan. Inialay nila ang kanilang lakas at kakayahan hindi para sa papuri o gantimpala, kung hindi upang pagtibayin ang diwa ng pagkakaisa at upang makamit ang ating mga pangarap para sa bayan.
The president also paid tribute to the modern heroes of the society, including farmers who are still trying to work in the face of the food crisis.
Sa araw na ito, pinararangalan natin ang ating mga makabagong bayani ng ating panahon. Dahil sa kanilang malasakit at kabutihang loob, naging mas mabuti ang kalagayan ng ating bansa ngayon. Kinikilala natin ang ating mga magsasaka, mga agricultural worker na buong araw ay nagsisikap upang tugunan ang ating mga pangangailangan para sa seguridad ng supply ng pagkain. Kung hindi dahil sa kanila, wala tayong pagkain maiahain sa ating mga pamilya. Tunay silang mga bayani kailanman.
Likewise, those in the sector of trade and business, education, and other workers in different industries were also recognized by the President. Marcos also thanked the medical and health workers, the police, and the military for their dedication to their duties, even in the face of danger brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. The President also recognized the overseas Filipino workers who had great contributions to the country's economy in the face of the continuing pandemic. The President also promised that the government will build hospitals in the Visayas and Mindanao that will cater the health needs, especially of the war veterans. He said that these projects would be part of his administration's commitment in taking care of the needs of World War II veterans. President assured our countrymen that his administration will remain active in promoting programs that will meet the needs of everyone in the midst of various challenges. Eden Santos for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Next up, a UN team heads to inspect the Zaparia nuclear plant. South Korea signs a $2.25 billion deal with Russian nuclear company. And Moderna sues rival Pfizer and BioNTech over its coronavirus vaccine. Matanang Agila International will return. Don't go away.
Araw-araw together tayong gumigising.
Together natin inaalam ang mga balita.
Pangmalakasan ng ating power kapag tayo ay together.
Nakikipagkulitan kasama kayo together.
Together tayo sa lungkot at saya sa bawat umaga. Isang taon na tayo together, mga kada!
Join Miffy and friends in their adventures this August.
Miffy, a sweet little bunny. Miffy, a smart little bunny. Miffy, a cute little bunny.
Miffy returns a starfish to its home and helps Boris get rid of his hiccups. Miffy and friends then show how fun it is chasing after butterflies while they flutter freely, and how they all try to spoil the surprise for Mummy's birthday party.
Miffy, a sweet little bunny. Miffy, I think it's really funny. Miffy, it always feels sunny. With Miffy!
Saturdays at 10 a.m. dito lang sa Net 25.
You're still watching Matanang Agila International. An inspection team from the UN nuclear watchdog is on its way to Ukraine's embattled Zaparia nuclear power plant, according to the organization's head. Rafael Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, said the team was expected to arrive at the plant later this week. We must protect the safety and security of Ukraine's and Europe's biggest nuclear facility, according to Grossi. The Zaparia nuclear power plant has been occupied by Russian troops since March. However, some news sources say it is still being operated by Ukrainian staff under difficult conditions. Moscow had previously signaled that it would only allow international inspectors to visit the complex, so the IAEA's visit will mark an important moment in being able to verify what is happening on the ground. Russia and Ukraine have accused one another of shelling the area, which led to mounting global concern over the safety and security of the nuclear power plant. Experts say shelling around the plant is not the main concern, given the plant has thick protection walls. But cutting the supply of electricity to it is charged with danger. The loss of the power supply to the nuclear reactors and backup generators would mean no power for the pumps cooling the hot reactor core, and therefore leading to the fuel starting to melt. South Korea landed a $2.25 billion or 3 trillion won contract with a Russian state-run nuclear energy company to provide components and construct a turbine building for Egypt's first nuclear power plant, according to officials. South Korean officials said the U.S. was consulted in advance about the deal and the technologies being supplied by Seoul for the project would not clash with international sanctions against Russia. As stated by South Korea's presidential office and trade ministry, the contract between state-run Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power and ASE requires the South Koreans to provide certain materials and equipment and construct the turbine building of the plant being built in Daba, northwest of Cairo. Officials from South Korea's trade ministry refused to elaborate on how the crisis in Ukraine and the sanctions on Moscow affected the negotiations between Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power and ASE, which has a contract with Egypt to build 4 1,200-megawatt reactors. In other news, rescue personnel in Ukraine are being trained on how to manage the risk of nuclear accidents. The training comes because of fears of a large-scale accident due to the shellings near the Zaparia nuclear power plant. It includes how to deactivate radiation dust. Personnel are conducting simulations to hone their skills. So far, radiation levels at the plant are normal, but the plant's operator is warning of the risk of radiation leak if the shelling continues. Periodic shelling has damaged the plant's infrastructure, and there are risks of hydrogen leaks. The plant's operator says the fire hazard is high. People living near the plant have been given iodine pills to help reduce the risk of serious illness if a leak occurs. Germany's shuttered coal-fired power plants may soon come to life again, but restarting the generators has its challenges. Major obstacles include infrastructure issues, a shortage of labor, and logistical problems. At one plant, many parts have been stripped from it and sold, and there is also the problem of getting coal to the plants so they can be restarted. The railways cannot handle the demand, also the problem of finding enough workers to operate the facilities. Many of those who used to work in the plants have either moved on to other jobs or retired. Over the last few years, Germany began decommissioning coal-fired plants with the goal of closing them all down by 2030. With Russia curtailing its gas exports to Germany, the government wants to bring some of these plants back online to meet electricity demands. It is hoping to have the plants operating by November. Moderna sued rival vaccine maker Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech, citing infringement on its patents in developing the first COVID-19 vaccine approved in the U.S. The complaint alleged that Pfizer and BioNTech copied technology that Moderna developed years before the pandemic. Moderna believes that Pfizer and BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine, Comirnaty, infringes patents Moderna filed between 2010 and 2016, covering Moderna's foundational mRNA technology, the U.S.-based biotech firm said in a statement. Pfizer and BioNTech copied this technology without Moderna's permission to make Comirnaty, according to Moderna. Pfizer and BioNTech expressed surprise over the litigation, but said their COVID-19 vaccine was based on BioNTech's proprietary mRNA technology. We will vigorously defend against the allegations of the lawsuit, Pfizer and BioNTech said in a statement. The lawsuit also seeks undetermined monetary damages and was filed in the U.S. District Court in the state of Massachusetts. Moderna said it will also file one in the Regional Court of Dusseldorf in Germany. Moderna said it pledged in October 2020 not to enforce its COVID-19 related patents while the pandemic continued, but changed its stance as the pandemic fight shifted gears. After Britain announced a vast 80% hike in electricity and gas bills, many are now concerned that they might fall into debt. Different sectors are now clamoring for urgent government action to do more to avoid putting the most vulnerable in desperate situations. From the United Kingdom, Love Ann Season has the details.
Britain announced Friday a vast 80% hike in electricity and gas bills in a dramatic worsening of the cost of living crisis before winter as the UK awaits a new leader. Regulator Ofgem said its energy price cap, which sets prices for consumers who are not on a fixed deal, with their supplier will in October increase to an average £3,549 or $4,197 per year from the current $1,971, blaming soaring wholesale gas costs after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The increase in the cap reflects the continued rise in global wholesale gas prices, which began to surge as the world unlocked from the COVID pandemic and have been driven still higher to record levels by Russia slowly switching off gas supplies to Europe. Ofgem said in a statement. The near doubling in the cap will likely tip millions into fuel poverty, forced to choose between heating or eating, according to anti-poverty experts. Britain is already suffering from its highest inflation rate since 1982 and is predicted to enter recession later this year. Britain's rampant cost of living has dominated the race to succeed Conservative Prime Minister Boris Johnson, with political opponents accusing him of leading a zombie government as inflation escalates. Both frontrunner Liz Truss and rival leadership contender Rishi Sunak are grappling with how to address the crisis. Gas comprises a major part of Britain's energy mix, with tens of millions of homes relying on gas-powered boilers for their heating. Household and business consumers, energy suppliers, and opposition politicians are clamoring for urgent government action to do more to avoid putting the most vulnerable in desperate situations. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, this is Love Ann Season for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Next up, a gunman opens fire at Oregon supermarket. China prosecutes 28 suspects over brutal attack on women in Tangshan. And tomato flu outbreak happens in India. Find out more about these stories later when Mata ng Agila International returns.
Una-unahang eksklusibong panayam kay Senador Robin Hood Padilla matapos mahalan.
Lahat ng katangian para hindi ako iboto, nasa akin na.
Sasagutin punto por punto ang mga isyong binabato sa kanya.
Committee ng Revision ng Constitution, anong balak mo doon?
Aalamin, uusisain, walang preno.
Meron bang gentleman dito? Di siyempre, walang una na dyan, kung di ang inyong lingkod.
Kasama si Attorney Sal Panedo sa Counterpoint tuwing Miyerkules, alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net 25.
Welcome sa aming bagong tahanan. Say hi, Tati.
Hi! Bossing Poleng, meron akong...
Ano?
Meron akong kwento.
Yay! Story time!
Itago nyo na lang ako sa pangalang Jojo.
Jojo nga po pala. Boyfriend ko.
Good evening po.
Ikaw! Puyat mo nga dyan!
May bago tayong tambayan.
Dito lang sa Net 25.
Panalo tayo pag together. Walang talo pag together. Let's get together. Sa Net 25.
This portion is brought to you by Source Alliance.
Welcome back to the news. Detroit Police Department has arrested a suspect after an hours-long manhunt that involved multiple federal agencies. Authorities said the suspect is believed to have shot 4 people at random, killing 3 of them.
5 a.m., approximately 4:45 a.m., a 40-year-old female was discovered shot multiple times in the area of Wyoming and Margarita. This did not come in through 911. She was discovered in that area. No one called on that one. While investigating this shooting, a witness walked up to the officers and informed them that it appears to be another victim, which turned out to be a 28-year-old male that had been shot multiple times in the area of 7 Mile in Wyoming. Then at approximately 6:50 a.m. in the area of 19,700 Livernois, a female victim in her 40s was found shot multiple times. And then another victim in the area of 19,200 Pennington at approximately 7:10 a.m. And that was a male who was shot after he noticed the suspect appearing in the vehicle. So this victim noticed the suspect appearing in the vehicles. When he told him to get away from the vehicles, he turned.
Police Chief James White said tips led officers to the suspect, but he did not immediately release more information about the suspect or arrest. White earlier said investigators traced all 4 shootings to one firearm, but believed them to be random because there was no apparent connection among the victims. Duggan later credited critical information from the community and multiple law enforcement agencies with helping Detroit police take the suspect into custody. As we mourn our 3 neighbors who were killed, we should take the time to appreciate all the men and women in law enforcement whose work today made sure no other families will suffer at the hands of this shooter, Duggan tweeted. 3 people, including the suspected shooter, are dead following an attack at a grocery store in Bend, Oregon, USA. The Bend Police Department said police officers were dispatched to the Safeway at the Forum Shopping Center after receiving reports of shots fired. The gunman was believed to have begun the attack in the store's parking lot before moving inside. 1 person was shot inside the entrance, though the police were able to bring the victim to the hospital, but the victim was declared dead on arrival. Police said the shooter continued firing through the store, shooting and killing an additional person. It was not immediately clear how the suspected shooter, who was identified only as a male, died, but police said they did not open fire during their response. Playing in the courtyard of a hotel when a 440-pound marble statue fell and crushed her. Hotel guests at the scene immediately freed the child and called the emergency services. The girl, however, died at the hospital due to the severity of her injuries. It was not clear why the marble statue collapsed, but it was discovered that it was not attached to the ground. Investigation into the tragedy is still ongoing. The girl's parents shared on Facebook their grief, with the father saying their lives has changed after the tragic accident. A Peruvian judge sent to the preventive detention for 30 months the sister-in-law of President Pedro Castillo, Jennifer Paredes. And opposition demonstrators gathered outside the courthouse and shouted slogans for and against Paredes. Though the riot police prevented the 2 groups from clashing, the protesters threw eggs, some of which fell on journalists. Paredes was accused of integrating an alleged corruption network that granted public works contracts and money laundering, directed according to the prosecutor's office. The other defendant is Mayor Jose Medina. Medina is the mayor of Anguilla, a town in the northern region of Cajamarca, where Castillo's family is from. According to the prosecutor's office, the president's sister-in-law and Mayor Medina were colluding to offer and irregularly award sanitation works. Both lawyers from both sides announced they will appeal. Meanwhile, on September 5, President Castillo and his wife must appear before the prosecutor's office. Castillo strongly denies his family has committed such crimes and says he is just a victim of a campaign to remove him from power. On Saturday afternoon, barbecue in the Netherlands turned deadly when a truck ran off the road and crashed into the crowd of revelers. Police say 6 people died and 7 others are injured, all attending a community barbecue hosted by an ice skating club. Residents placed flowers at the site of the crash. The accident happened about 30 kilometers south of Rotterdam when a truck pulling a horse trailer drove into the crowd. Police have arrested the driver but say alcohol was not a factor. Witnesses say the truck had stopped at an intersection before taking off and plowing into the crowd. An investigation continues. Chinese prosecutors said they had launched criminal proceedings against 28 people suspected of assaulting a group of women in a viral incident that sparked outrage over gender-based violence in the country. Footage of a group of men assaulting 4 women at a barbecue restaurant in Tangshan, east of the capital Beijing, was shared widely online, renewing debate about violence against women in China. The men carried out the assault after the women rejected their advances, the footage showed. Prosecutors in Hebei province said they would begin legal proceedings against the suspects, including 7 directly involved in the assault, after they obtained reliable and sufficient evidence. However, the statement shared on China's Twitter-like Weibo service did not specify a criminal charge. According to state broadcaster CCTV, police identified the prime suspect in the attack as Chen, saying he recklessly used violence to commit evil. Tangshan authorities also sacked the city's deputy police chief and 5 other police officers after the attack. They also launched a crackdown against organized crime. Discussion of feminism has grown in the country despite pressure from its patriarchal society, widespread censorship, and patchy legal support for victims. Just as we are dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, a new virus known as tomato flu has emerged in India. The tomato fever has left over 100 children in the country with high fevers, joint pain, painful blisters, and rashes, according to the letter published by the medical journal The Lancet Respiratory Medicine. At least 82 children younger than 5 years of age in the state of Kerala and 26 children 9 years and younger in the state of Odisha got sick with the tomato flu virus. Tomato flu gained its name based on the eruption of red and painful blisters throughout the body that gradually enlarged to the size of a tomato. Now, before anyone else panics, health experts say this rare viral infection is in an endemic state and is considered non-life-threatening. Indian authorities have demolished 2 high-rise buildings outside of New Delhi that were deemed to be unsafe. The buildings were 32 and 29 stories high. Watch how they are reduced to rubble in a matter of seconds in this controlled explosion. Authorities say the towers breached safety regulations and developers colluded with corrupt officials to get them approved. There were nearly 1,000 apartments in the structures that were never inhabited. Legal wrangling has gone on for 9 years. Thousands of people had to be evacuated from the demolition site, including people in neighboring buildings. One building was just 9 meters away. And officials say the demolition went as planned and no injuries were reported. Next up, Taylor Swift wins MTV Video of the Year and announces a new album. NASA postpones Artemis 1 launch. And Net25 recognized as the outstanding TV network of the year. Stay tuned to get the details. Madana Agila International will return.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Kauna-unahang eksklusibong panayam kay Senador Robin Hood Padilla matapos mahalan.
Lahat ng katangian para hindi ako iboto, nasa akin na.
Sasagutin punto por punto ang mga isyong binabato sa kanya.
Committee ng Revision ng Constitution. Anong balak mo doon?
Aalamin, uusisain, walang preno.
Meron bang gentleman dito? Di siyempre, walang una na dyan, kung di ang inyong lingkod.
Kasama si Attorney Sal Panedo sa Counterpoint tuwing Miyerkules, 10:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net25.
Watch out for the new season of Moments with Gladys Reyes Someru. Soon on Net25.
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's stand together sa Net25.
Welcome mga ka-shoppers! Kami nga maghahatid sa inyo ng mga kung ano-ano pa na gusto ninyo at maiibigan nyo at masasarapan kayo.
Mapapagkain pa man yan, or inumin, o gamit, o mga healthy products. At iba pa, ihatid namin sa inyo yan.
Ano pa pong inaantay ninyo? I-mine nyo na, punta na kayo sa website ng Net25 at go! For only 3,000 nakalain nyo.
Dito lang sa Shopping All the Way
with Jojo
Panalo tayo pag together, walang talo pag together. Let's stand together sa Net25.
Welcome back to Matanang Agila International. Despite global inflation rates across several countries, Italian supercar maker Lamborghini says business has been better than ever, with all of its vehicles already sold out through 2024. Lamborghini is achieving record results in terms of vehicle orders and sales, delivering 5,090 cars over the first half of 2022, while operating profit jumped to 425 million euros. The figure also represents a 4.9% increase over the same period last year and translates to a surge in operating profits by a staggering 70%. Most remarkably, 61% of its sales during the period were accounted for by the company's SUV, the Lamborghini Urus, which has found a much wider market than its conventional supercar counterparts. CEO Stephen Winkelmann also said the Volkswagen subsidiary has an order book covering the next 18 months. Lamborghini is planning a hybrid version of each of its models by 2024 and the first fully electric Lamborghini in the second half of the decade, according to Winkelmann. In other news, the Artemis 1 launch has been scrubbed after the team was unable to work through an issue on one of the rocket's 4 engines. The launch of Artemis 1 is no longer happening today as teams work through an issue with an engine bleed, according to NASA. The space agency also said teams will continue to gather data and will keep the public posted on the timing of the next launch attempt. The next launch opportunity is on September 2, but whether or not another attempt is made that day depends on how testing goes. Veteran block Brody Retallick said that he came through unscathed from the first test of his broken cheekbone and is primed to help rescue the All Blacks. The 31-year-old Retallick had his cheekbone smashed in a defeat to Ireland last month, but made his comeback on Saturday by playing 55 minutes for his regional side, Hawke's Bay. Retallick said his body is good and the cheekbone came through, and it's still in one piece as he go through 55 odd minutes last Saturday. Retallick watched on television as the All Blacks' erratic season continued when they lost 25-18 to Argentina in Christchurch, New Zealand's first home defeat to the Pumas. The fourth defeat in 6 games piled fresh pressure on Ian Foster, and the All Blacks coach could recall Retallick to beef up the forwards, with Scott Barrett moving from lock to the back row. The All Blacks are now ranked 5th in the world, an unwelcome return to their lowest spot since the rankings began in 2003. Taylor Swift was among the night's big winners, turning heads on the red carpet in a dress dripping with crystals before winning the night's top prize of Music Video of the Year for her 10-minute-long film, All Too Well.
So honored to have been recognized alongside such amazing artists and directors in this category, and I just want to say I'm so heartened by the fact that for the first time in VMA history, 4 of the directors nominated in the Video of the Year category are women.
The 32-year-old, who has been making good on her vow to re-record her first 6 albums, said the production of her short film was made possible because of her fans who emboldened her to do that. The fans went ecstatic when the singer teased her forthcoming 10th album, Midnight.
I thought it might be a fun moment to tell you that my brand new album comes out October 23rd.
Swift previously took home the Video of the Year award in 2015 for Bad Blood and again in 2019 for You Need to Calm Down. Johnny Depp made a surprise appearance on the MTV's Video Music Awards stage about 2 months after winning a defamation case against actress Amber Heard. Depp made a digital cameo at the award ceremony as the iconic Moon Man hovered above the stage. For the unversed, Depp has won 5 Moon Man statues, including Best Male Performance, Best Villain, Global Superstar, and the Generation Award at the MTV VMAs. The Net25 Mall Show yesterday, August 28, at SM Center Muntinlupa was enjoyed by the fans and followers of the network's entertainment and current affairs program. Take a look. The hosts of Net25's morning program, Kada Umaga, entertained the mall goers. The mall show is part of the program's first anniversary celebration. Also present in the show were the hosts of ASPN, a current affairs program of Net25, hosted by Pat P. Daza and Ali Soto. The cast of Quezon City, an entertainment program of Net25, also joined the mall show. The cast of Net25's new sitcom, Ano Ang Meron Kay Abok, were also present in the mall show. Watch out for the entire Net25 Let's Net Together Mall Show on September 1st on the morning show, Kada Umaga. Well, we will be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Welcome sa aming bagong tahanan. Say hi, tayo.
Hi! Bossing Poleng, meron akong kwento.
Yay! Story time!
Itago nyo na lang ako sa pangalang Jojo.
Jojo nga po pala. Boyfriend ko.
Good evening po.
Ikaw!
Puyat mo nga dyan!
May bago tayong tambayan.
Dito lang sa Net25.
Panalo tayo pag together. Walang talo pag together. Let's net together. Sa Net25.
Kauna-unahang eksklusibong panayam kay Senador Robin Hood Padilla matapos mahalan.
Lahat ng katangian para hindi ako iboto, nasa akin na.
Sasagutin punto por punto ang mga isyong binabato sa kanya.
Committee ng Revision ng Constitution. Anong balak mo doon?
Aalamin, uusisain, walang preno.
Meron bang gentleman dito? Di siyempre, walang una na dyan, kung di ang inyong lingkod.
Kasama si Attorney Sal Panedo sa Counterpoint tuwing Miyerkules, alas 10:30 ng gabi, dito sa Net25.
Once again, let us see those scenes from the Net25 Mall Show yesterday, August 28 at SM Center Muntinlupa, enjoyed by the fans and followers of the network's entertainment and current affairs programs. Take a look. The hosts of Net25's morning program, Kada Umaga, entertained the mall goers, and the mall show is part of the program's first anniversary celebration. Also present in the mall show were the hosts of ASPN, a current affairs program of Net25, hosted by Pat P. Daza and Ali Soto. The cast of Quezon City, an entertainment program of Net25, also joined the mall show. The cast of Net25's new sitcom, Ano Ang Meron Kay Abok, were also present in the mall show. There's Ali and Pat P. Watch out for the entire Net25 Let's Net Together Mall Show on September 1st. On the morning show, Kada Umaga.
That's what's going on, and nothing's fine on time.
Excited to see all those performances. Now, Net25 was recognized as the Outstanding TV Network of the Year at the 6th Outstanding Men and Women Brand of the Year event held at the Teatrino Theater in Green Hills, San Juan City. According to Mr. Richard Hinola, president of the Outstanding Brand Men and Women of the Philippines, Net25 has a good and significant programming. Among the Net25 programs awarded recognition is the Open for Business program as Outstanding Business TV Show. Recognition was also awarded to its executive producer and host, Mr. Cesar Vallejos.
Well, actually, this is Outstanding Men and Women of the Philippines 2022. Started 6 years ago. And I want to honor Filipino here and abroad because we know for the fact that each of one of us has our own traits, and we also have our own achievements in life.
Be recognized for outstanding work, to be recognized and to be appreciated for what you do is something very significant. Pero with Open for Business, this award is not necessarily for us as individuals or for the program, but it's for the small businesses, for the entrepreneurs.
Congratulations, CRV, and to the rest of the team. Now, a 10-day show in Saudi Arabia is giving falcon owners a chance to show off their birds of prey. Take a look. It's an annual event held in the Saudi capital of Riyadh. It's the largest such show in the world where breeders from different countries get a chance to showcase their birds and auction them off. Prices can go as high as 21,000 euros or more than $1 million pesos. The event includes pavilions with specialized hunting equipment as well as various species of falcons. About 350 exhibitors are taking part, and more than 500,000 visitors from some 30 countries are expected to attend. In the United Arab Emirates, there is a special gym in Abu Dhabi that caters to dogs seeking relief from the heat. This air-conditioned gym for dogs offers an alternative to exercising outdoors. With blistering hot weather, staying outside is dangerous to health, both for humans and their canine companions. Temperatures in Abu Dhabi often reach 45 degrees Celsius or higher and seldom drop much overnight. For those who can't afford it, this gym allows their pets to work out in comfort that has specially designed treadmills for the dogs to run on. They wear a harness to secure them, and there are barriers on either side to keep the animals from falling off. The treadmills automatically adjust the speed to the pace of the dog. And now let's take a look back at what happened today in history. In 1916, the Jones Law that placed the legislative power in hands of Filipinos was approved. It provided for the creation of the Philippine Senate to be elected by the people and to be composed entirely of Filipinos. In 1949, the Soviet Union tested its first atomic bomb, known in the West as Joe-1. It was a direct copy of the Fat Man bomb used by the U.S. military on Nagasaki during World War II. In 1958, Michael Jackson was born in Indiana, USA. Dubbed as the King of Pop, Jackson was a singer-songwriter, producer, dancer, and philanthropist. He is regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. Now, to help start our week, here's a quote from Robert Collier, an American author. Success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. Consistency is key. And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I'm CJ Hero, and this is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.